Lead Detective Ursula Renault with Jason Marks, or Rip, from New York City, enter a vampire bar looking for a person of interest. With the bright flashing lights mixing with the darkness, it was difficult for the detectives to make out the scene until their eyes had finally become accustomed. The atmosphere was charged with tension as they approached the crowd and began to perceive them as individuals. The group seemed to sense the detectives' presence as if intruders had just entered the room. Some attendees were costumed, while others wore a mask or just face paint. Still others simply dressed in typical club attire. There were partially clothed bodies and bodies covered with only fluorescent paint. Most wore black clothing, with the only color variation being a deep purple. There were huge, elegantly framed portraits on the walls that popped with glow-in-the-dark color from the blacklight. In her regal accoutrements, Elizabeth Bathory glared down on the room as Vlad Dracula towered in another gold frame over the inhabitants. A portrait of the classic movie vampire dressed in a high-collared cape and tuxedo posed, gazing toward the DJ stand. The large letter title read, Count Alucard. Heads turned one at a time to stare at them. With each glance, the glint of fanged teeth reflected in the flashing lights. Rip and Ursula held their ground, looking around to scope the place out, including viable exits. Noticing the variety of styles exhibited in this group, they also realized they were at a great disadvantage if the crowd suddenly decided their presence should no longer be tolerated. Ursula spotted their person of interest standing at the bar. She nodded toward him to Rip, and they bookended him there. The unexpected greeting startled him, and he spilled his whiskey all over his shirt. The confused look he afforded each detective quickly changed to aggravated. His eyes did have the crazy look about them that Sergeant Billy had warned, and it seemed for an instant that the trap man was entertaining the idea of fleeing the unwelcomed introductions. Ursula swiftly grasped his wrist and gave it a slight twist as Rip moved in against him.
Hello, Louis.
Buy a gal a drink for a little conversation.
Ursula prodded with a hint of flirtation. The man realized it might be a good idea to cooperate with the officers as he investigated each one's determined eyes.
Okay, can we move this to a more secluded place?
Sure. How about over here?
Rip nodded toward a little booth in the corner. The three moved in tandem to the dark booth with semi-transparent curtains covering it. On the curtains was another small sign. Watch that flight path. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a waitress in a black pixie-style dress and a cape appeared floating and holding a drink tray. Her face was decorated with fluorescent glitter paint, and her pupils were shiny silver. With gleaming white fangs and furry bat ears on her head, her appearance seemed supernatural until she released her handbrake and reached below her batwing cape to unhook from herself the zip-line harness. The detectives were impressed. The bar owner had installed overhead cables from the bar to selected tables so the waitstaff could get to the customers quicker. This was a stunt to give the appearance of a vampire bat flying to tables to take drink orders.
What can I get for y'all?
Came the southern accented inquiry as she looked at the three suspiciously. Louis ordered a double whiskey while the two detectives declined the offer. The fat waitress left with a frustrated look on her glittery face.
So tell us about your habits, Louis. Are you an O positive or B negative type of guy, and what is your real name?
It's Louis Diemschitz. Hey man, I just do this to pick up women, you know. Some of them are impressed with the mystique. The dark, dangerous type appeals to a lot of ladies. I mostly just fake it. I tried blood once, but I can't do it, man. I just aim with the vamps when I can. Are y'all investigating that girl that was found with her blood drained?
The detectives, glancing at each other with concern, were both puzzled how Louis knew about the death. Either the details of the deaths that were supposed to be under wraps had leaked out to the locals, or Louis was about to become an even bigger person of interest.